as you all know, that the topic for today panel discussion is honing the code craft and advocacy skills in the virtual world, challenges and the solutions. The last 2 years, we've seen a lot of change happening all around us. With the panelists before us was speaking in the discussion, the entire virtual conferencing and everything that's been imposed on everybody, that's become the norm of the day. Now, why this discussion is important is that, a lot of young lawyers who've, gone through their internships, gone through their law school days, they've all carried this certain image of how, a court works. They all plan to, physically go to courts. They've been told a lot of things about what kind of body language they need to have, how they need to, speak, how to make their case forward, and how the aspect of how you handle yourself on the court impacts your arguments. So there's had this image, obviously a lot of it, visual image which they have, but how to carry themselves and how to go forward. But now a lot of it has changed. In some ways, because of this virtual world, they're on the same plane with everybody else because everybody's trying to figure out. And that is why it's so important today that in this panel, everybody who's there, you're all relatively young lawyers who've also experienced this change which is happening, trying to adapt. So the idea is that today we just give an idea to everybody, all our young lawyers and everybody who's watching it, on what all are the challenges which you people faced initially while doing this transition to this model from physical courts to the virtual court which is there, and what all solutions do you think that you can hand out to everybody around. I will start it and I'll open the floor. Ankita, you can take us. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Yes, it's been a difficult transition from the offline to the online world. And I think the first challenge that came up with was to adapt it mentally, to understand yes, this has happened. And now there's a complete transition to the online world, and everything is virtual, from classes to courts to handling the clients, talking to interns, giving interviews, taking interviews. Everything was online. And I remember interns approaching me for internships and presenting papers and asking for work, and I saw the struggle. And I somewhere felt that we are in better position because we have passed out, and since we are young lawyers. But it is more difficult for people who are graduating now, who have graduated in the past 2 years, and they have not been to the court even once. So virtual world in that way has benefited, in a way that at least they are experiencing something, if not nothing, along with the challenges, of course, which it has because of the digital divide in our country. But yes, I think in the next few years it is going to be virtual is the next thing, as we all know, in every field. It's either going to be hybrid, but virtual is gonna stay in some way or the other. So adapting as a young lawyer is a challenge, but it is the need of the hour in terms of improving your reading skills, your writing skills, your speaking skills, taking part in discussions like these, panel discussions, debates. So I think this has become very important now. So instead of complaining about these situations, if young lawyers like us and who are coming up start taking the charge and use this opportunity to engage, because if we see on the other hand, it has also become easier to approach a lawyer, to talk to seniors virtually. LinkedIn has grown a lot in these times. So if young lawyers like us take the benefit of that instead of complaining, I understand there are a lot of things which are not right with the virtual world, but we have to adapt. That's what lawyers are known for, right?
No, thank you so much for that, Ankita. And one very nice point which you brought up is about that digital divide. So one of the challenges which everybody is facing across the board is that digital divide, because you have lawyers who may or may not have, who are in different parts of the country. Due to the pandemic, they've all been shifted back to their hometowns. They may or may not have proper internet connections, proper devices through which they can enter and argue. So maybe that is something which I think, as what I feel is, as we are progressing, maybe that is something which will be addressed. It's just this teething problem which everybody is having. But hopefully, I think as a legal community, everybody is working towards it. So that's nice to know. Thank you so much for your thoughts. Now we have Raghav. So Raghav, I'll open the floor for you. If you can let us know your thoughts.
Thank you so much, Siddharth, and good evening to everyone. Well, I believe when it comes to adapting, I think our generation is fortunate since we are adept with technology. And that is one strong point that is in the favor of young lawyers as compared to a lot of seniors who sometimes, although have a better legal knowledge, but because they struggle with the technology and they are technologically handicapped, in a lot of hearings I've seen, the younger ones actually taking the seniors for a ride in that sense. Coming to the topic of discussion, when we talk about advocacy skills, so I would say that the advocacy skills that apply to normal hearings and which have been succinctly enlisted by Justice Abbott Perry once almost 100 years ago. It's been a century. In 1923, he had enlisted 7 lamps of advocacy, which still apply. And adding to that, I would like to say that in the new virtual world, what is important is that while a lawyer is arguing a case, it is very important for the lawyer to be nimble and agile. What I mean by saying nimble and agile is that your facial expressions, you are on the center stage. When you are in a courtroom hearing, there's a lot of activity happening around. The judge may not be reading your facial expressions. But when it's a virtual hearing, you are on the center stage, the focus lights are on you. And if there's anything wrong happening in your environment also, that affects the hearing and your argument and how the judge is taking your argument and absorbing it. So one has to be very careful. That is one. I'll give a small example. While I was hearing in one of the matters in NCLT, now these are also challenges which young lawyers are facing because a lot of them don't have their offices. It's a stopgap arrangement, people working from home. There was a poor lady who was arguing. Why I'm using that word is because unfortunately there was a bedroom at the back, and the one of the parents, I believe, was tossing and turning while she was arguing. So I think that's a hindrance when your arguments are being made for the judge also. So, there are small skills that I would like to list out in the virtual world, which might help. Something as small as blurring your background if you are not in that kind of a space. So, these are not legal skills, but I think these are advocacy skills which are indispensable in today's time. Secondly, maintaining your documents. Now we are again, probably we'll be having hybrid hearings, and I think everyone is looking forward to it. So one has to have the physical sets as well as the e-copies maintained properly. A lot of filings have been done in the e-copies, and a lot of people have not even taken out the physical sets, even for their own offices. So it's important that all these things are taken care of. And one thing I would like to say is that actually the Supreme Court in 2003 acknowledged the importance of virtual hearings. There's a judgment by which they said that the evidence can be recorded virtually through virtual conferencing through a commission. However, it's been 20 years and we are yet to see, although VC rules for evidence have also been enacted. But the major challenge, which I feel, and that's why a lot of clients are also facing a lot of problem, because the case is not proceeding as the evidence is not happening virtually. So I think, yes, there is a silver lining to the pandemic that we all have shifted to the digital era, to the virtual mode. But definitely, I think we all should look forward to it, and positive steps must be taken for making it completely virtual, in the sense that now that the rules are there, it's about the implementation, that the evidence should also be recorded virtually. I leave it to the floor.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Raghav. That's really helpful. And I agree. So the idea is that in addition to all these code crafts and advocacy skills which are there, there's these certain soft skills, like you were mentioning, which is also very important for young lawyers to adapt in how you present yourself, how you present your surroundings. And the idea is that how, even when everybody is stuck at home with everyone around you, you try and clear out the noise and focus on your arguments. So I think that's a very good takeaway from what you've said. Now I would like to call upon Gaganmeet, who's with us, to take the floor with his thoughts.
Since Ms. Ankita and Mr. Sabharwal have already enlightened us, so I'll keep my content quite short. First of all, I hoping well-being of everyone and their families. As far, see, in my opinion, the pandemic and the virtual world is a blessing in disguise, because it has taught us so many things that in the pre-pandemic era we had no idea of. So limiting myself to the challenges and the solutions that we should propose to this virtual world are, firstly, I remember in a matter in 2020, when the situation was very severe. In April 2020, I had filed an Section 9 petition before a judge, and looking for the email IDs and trying to get the file digitized was a very Herculean task for me. And thereafter, there were no specific email IDs for filing of the bills. Bills were being filed physically. Thereafter, we had to look for links. Now, everything is quite systematic, in my opinion. I personally believe that if Mr. Sabharwal might recall, earlier in the High Court cause list also, there was a closed meeting.
That's right.
And thereafter, the links were shared in the cause list. So things we have adapted ourselves accordingly, and I believe it's very cost efficient. And it's being lawyers, we cannot appear in 6 courts if the courts are functioning physically. And as far as solutions are concerned, I would suggest all the people who are watching today, or this law students, that firstly, as a lawyer, we should be in a proper uniform, because we have seen that in different courts, the judges have discouraged how people have been appearing in courts. Secondly, another problem, which is a major problem, which is not looked after by some of the lawyers, is connectivity issue. Connectivity issue, see, it can be from both sides. I remember I was appearing in High Court, and the judge always used to say, Mr. Sachdeva, there is some connectivity issue at your end. Then I got a good Wi-Fi. Then I also purchased a microphone for an efficient hearing. Then after a period of 4 months, it was discovered that the connection issue was from
the end of
the honorable judge's residence and not on our end. So connectivity is also an issue. And as a lawyer, I believe that while in the pre-pandemic era, when we used to appear physically, so the body language of an advocate, or what he's trying to convey, could be seen by the judge very well. But during a VC, we should be very diligent with language. We should be very precise. We should be in a proper uniform. We should keep our judgments handy. And I also believe that there should be a tutorial for people, because as Mr. Sabharwal has just said, that we are very fortunate that we know about the technology and we are able to adapt ourselves accordingly. But the people who have been appearing in court since early 90s and late 80s are not able to do that so efficiently. So I believe there must be some sort of tutorial for them also. And apart from the challenges and solutions, I'll also give some suggestions. Firstly, I believe that being lawyers in the virtual world, we struggle with certified copies. There is no proper mechanism to get an online certified copy. And for that, again, someone has to go all the way to the court and struggle with all the process. So while everything is being done virtually, there should be a mechanism for online certified at least. Secondly,
just adding to what Mr. Sachdeva is saying, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting.
No, please.
But digitization of records, we talk about, there are Supreme Court committees. I think this is a very good suggestion, because certified copies, if the digital signature is there, then there must be some provision to treat either that copy as a certified copy.
Right, that is what I am suggesting. Secondly, another problem that we face these days, I hope that in the past 2 years, if we exempt the physical functioning portion, nobody has been able to inspect the court file.
Absolutely.
So once the digitization completes, there must be a mechanism for e-inspection at least. See, since the High Court has now permitted to to upload files up to 100 MB, so I believe that there can be multiple files like it's done with the High Court e-court system, and at least we'll be able to inspect. I believe in the past 2 years, the final arguments matter. Either have been adjourned due to lack of the correct page number, or they have been deferred for any reason whatsoever. Thirdly, another issue that we face these days is notarization. If I've recently filed a suit for 2,200 pages, then getting the documents notarized and then compiling it is a task in itself. So there must be some provision of e-notarization, because everything is permitted these days. The only thing that he has to do is put the stamp and digitally sign it. It is as good as physical notarization. Apart from this, the only thing that I would, on a lighter note, earlier our office used to have 2 associates and a clerk and all, but during the pandemic era, I have developed 2 more friends. One is the Adobe PDF reader, and the second one comes to the code dealing staff, because we have been interacting with them only for most of the time. So I'll leave the floor to you, Siddharth. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much, Gaganmeet. And I like, right, you've pointed out these very practical problems which everybody is facing. And that is right. These are things, but like I said, these are teething problems, and like you are pointing these out, I think these are out in the open for everybody to discuss and hopefully find proper solutions for all of these to come. And I think one other point which you made and which Raghav was also making is also correct, that while for the younger generation, it's still easy to adapt to the new technology which is there, because I don't know, the younger generation has been doing video calls and FaceTime for the longest time now. So they know how, they are familiar with their camera. But exactly, it's the people who've been practicing for the longest time in physical courts who also need more adapting to go ahead with this. Thank you so much, Gagan, for your thoughts.
So now adding here what suggestions Mr. Sachdeva was giving. Another suggestion is also for the training of the court staff, especially if you see the district courts. On a lot of occasions, there is echo happening. There is no decorum being maintained. I mean, it's much better with the Supreme Court control room and the Delhi High Court and even the tribunals. I mean, I feel NCLT and NCLATs are quite strict with their procedures and the way the proceedings are happening. But when you come to the district courts, it's appalling when you enter the hearing and everyone is speaking at the same time. And, the judge has to interject and try to maintain decorum all the time. We used to have the physical days of order. And now it's just, please mute yourself. So, and a lot of times I see the court staff struggling, the reader or whoever is handling the meeting is struggling with all those things. So if they are trained properly, I think the hearings can be much more better and seamless.
I'll just take 1 more minute.
Sure.
Another challenge that I faced in 2020 was, after struggling with e-filing, getting it digitized, filing a Section 9 petition, I receive a call from the court staff stating that, sir, please hard copy bhijwa dijiye. I don't know why can't we build a system in which at least they can take out the printouts. They can, I mean, we can pay much higher court fee, but at least this should not be a problem. There should be one mechanism. Either we have to file it through e-filing, or we have to file it physically. This should not be the way that first we file it, first we struggle with getting it digitized, page numbering it, signing it digitally, we file it via email, then we go with the objections, this is not there, that is not there. Thereafter, I receive a call that, sir, we should get a hard copy also. So that is a problem. There should be a tutorial on both sides, for lawyers also and for court staff also.
No, that's correct, Mr. Sachdeva. Like they say, old habits die hard. So even when the pandemic is pushing you towards it. So, but I think hopefully we'll get there. So now we'll open the floor to Tarun. So Tarun, if we can have your thoughts.
Hi, good evening, everyone. First of all, I guess the last points that were made by Mr. Sachdeva and Mr. Sabharwal, I guess everyone will agree with that, because everyone face the same issues day in and day out whenever we are in this virtual mode. At the same time, being the last one, I guess I am very disadvantaged here, because everything has already been told. Now, there's nothing much left for me to say. But I thought at least, that's what I was thinking, that this e-inspection and some e-cert certified copies wali thing, I have something to say on it. But Mr. Sachdeva, he was one step ahead of me, perhaps. He has done
No, no,
everything.
I leave all the credit for you.
No, Mr. That's just take it. But I do have like two more points to say, and that, do we really have to digitize everything or revolutionize everything? That's one thing I at least think as of now. See, the points, I'm not, number one, I'm not in disagreement with anyone. I'm a firm believer that VC system is a good system and it should be there. I'm a firm believer of that. But the one thing that I'm saying is, do we really need everything to be digitized? Like the point made was about the e-notarization, or maybe something like e-certified copy. Now, e-certified copies is one thing, fine. E-inspection, I believe, or I feel, at least that's my opinion. See, it's my opinion that at least those things should not be put or converted into digital form. And I'll come to the reason later. And number two, the reason I see people like we are sitting here, we are from that generation who have seen physical hearings as well as virtual hearings. So we all know how to interact with the court, how to interact with the judge in a physical form as well as in the VC form. However, and it's not like that, Mr. Marwah, you just said that it's the younger generation, they are more adaptive to this new technology. See, these VC hearings have become, or they are actually as easy as answering a call. So it's not like any generation or people who are elder to us in age, they are not willing, but like they're not able to handle it. I believe it's the lack of intent to adapt. That's what I feel. Because some people, I say, they have this thinking that when we interact with the lawyers, we get to hear a lot of opinions as well. So they feel that, see, because the moment it becomes VC, or if it goes everything to VC, then they lose the edge. However, I feel a little differently. See, that is one thing. Like I've just encountered one problem, because this hearing was not even, this panel discussion was not in my schedule at all. It was like the mail I received after I have already made plans for my vacation somewhere. So right now I'm sitting at some other place. I'm not in my office. I'm nowhere. And I'm just hoping, I was praying to God that when my turn comes, there was some background noise coming from the outside. I'm sitting at someone else's place. And I was hoping, please, that noise should get over. And that is one challenge which anyone can face if something critical comes at a last moment to a lawyer. Now, in that case, see, I know how to blur the background. I know how to interact with the court. But can I help with the background sound? And let's say my argument is going to happen right now. Then there will be a problem. The judge will not be able to hear it. Or even I won't be able to convey what I have to convey. So these are few things we can, I don't know, sometimes we can foresee. I never foresaw. I never foresaw it. This happened with me today. Therefore, I got to realize what is happening with me. Like this is a genuine concern. So we move so easily and so fastly to judge someone. Look, there's some background noise coming from that side. Something's happening in the background. This and that. So that is something which, and include in this sphere only, that part of training the code master, reader, and everything. I feel it's not just the training of readers and code masters. See, they can only do so much. We lawyers also have to do our part. And number two, I was talking about this VC system. I feel is very good as far as constitutional courts are concerned. Any kind of litigation practice in constitutional courts, you can definitely do anything and everything via VC mode. But as far as recording of evidence is concerned, especially I'm focusing on the criminal trials, not the civil trial. Now that is something I feel cannot be done in a VC mode. No matter how many guidelines will be there, no matter how much rules the courts can lay down, it can never be done. Because in criminal trials, it's not just that you have to hear or record what the witness is saying. The judge has a responsibility to record the demeanor of the witness as well, and what exactly is happening around him, or specifically how he is answering a question. All of these things play a very crucial role in criminal trials. So my solution to that, or not just a solution, but my opinion on that is, we can definitely convert everything to VC, especially the practice of constitutional courts. However, we can keep the criminal trials, at least the evidence part, in physical form, which has been happening ever since. And only for that limited purpose, only open the courts, or maybe just fill the vacancies which are there, appoint some more judges. As far as though that part is concerned, the only lawyer, the prosecutor, and the defense counsel with this team will come get the evidence recorded, and then leave. And for that, we can follow social distancing protocols. But that part, once taken care of, then we can proceed to the trial in VC mode. That is one thing. Number two, I feel there is going to be a problem if this VC system, let's say, today we are advocating that it should be made permanent. However, I somewhere feel that this is not going to happen because we are, oh, not we, I am, at least people like me, we are nothing in the industry as of now. So we cannot do anything. But there are people who are much influential in the industry, and I feel that this system is not going to run for long. The physical hearings will resume. And you know what? I personally love physical hearings as well. But the problem will happen, or the problem will come to the younger generation who have graduated and started practicing in the last 3 years. Because they've only seen VC hearings. They have not seen physical hearings. They don't know how to interact with the court, how to address the court, rather, in a physical form. And what they are used to, a very comfortable environment. They will be the one who will be most disadvantaged position at that time because they don't know how to interact with the court. And I just don't want these young generations, to get charged with contempt and anything simply because they don't know the court craft. So for that, I feel if we combine this VC hearings as well as physical criminal trial, physical evidence recording part, these new generation as well will get a hang of both the forms. And once, if let's say everything goes back to normal, everything gets physical, at least they will not be in a disadvantaged position. They will be at least somewhat better than they will be if everything goes to VC. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Gaur. That's good. I think, but the only silver lining in the VC culture is that you can fit in fitting speaking in a conclave while within your weekend getaway. So I think those are two things which you can add within your schedule in the same day. So I think that is
on a
also
lighter
one of
side,
the silver linings which we have.
Right. See, that's a silver lining, but that's what I'm saying. Because it is a silver lining if everything's fine. See, thanks to God, everything has been fine as of yet. Because just before I unmuted myself, there was a lot of noise. Some function was happening outside, and I couldn't do anything about it. I cannot do anything. This is unknown to me. So, and I was just hoping, please just get it quiet.
But
they can't do anything.
At least we got to see your face. I mean, even if the even if the background would have been a problem, I think what Siddharth is also trying to say is at least you could join in the meeting. Had it been the physical form, I think you would have to cancel the meeting and we would not have got an opportunity to see you.
I believe only people have been appearing from vacation locations during these times.
My name is Sachdeva. At least I have never done that. This is the first time I'm doing it, and I'm feeling very,
very
weird about it. I've never done this sort of thing, but this was just, at the last moment. I was trying to reach my office as soon as I can, but the traffic situation is still same. I don't know what kind of curfew is it. I mean, I get it, Delhi curfew hurt gaya, but the place from I was coming, there was a weekend curfew. But it doesn't matter. Everything is still chock block. But okay.
Okay. Thank you. But thank you so much, Raghav, Ankita, Gaganmeet, Tarun, for all your thoughts on this. And it's been very enlightening. And I'm hoping that all the young lawyers and everybody who's watching it, they would have learned a thing or two from it. So thank you so much.